Okay, hey everybody, Jeff Coffin. We're here in my studio in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're going to be talking about my new app called Connecting the Dots, taking the mystery out of improvisation. Okay, so I'm going to kind of take you through the beginning part of it, the introduction, where the chords come from, and also voice leading grids. The introduction is basically what you think it is. It's an introduction into what this is, what it does, what arpeggios are. I think of them as the skeletal system of the chord, voice leading, how to practice, getting creative, what about improvisation, so on and so forth. So check out the introduction, familiarize yourself with the app a little bit. Next, we get into where the chords come from. Now, this is really important. Chords come from scales. And you can see here that I've got a C major scale. And what I've done underneath that is I've given you the numbers of the scale, 1 through 7. There's 7 notes in each major scale. And the arpeggio is built off the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7. And so I've shown you that underneath that, not only numerically, but correspondingly to the scale itself. So C, jump a note, go to E, jump a note, go to G, jump a note, and then you have B at the end. So C, E, G, and B. That's your C major 7 chord. And then I show you also in the different modes, because there's 7 modes for every scale, that you have those modes written out in the same way. So it's pretty easy to understand. And then I've given you another chord. So when we have a flat next to another, like if I say a chord has a flat 7th, that's in reference to its parent major scale. So you can see that C major has a B natural, and then this, the C mixolydian scale, has a flat 7. So that B is flatted in that scale. And so underneath that, you can see we have a 1, that 3 should be red because that's the third of the scale. So 1, 3, 5, and flat 7. And underneath that, you'll see we have C, E, G, and B flat, just like we did in the major scale. And the same with the modes all the way through, incorporating that flat 7th, that B flat, all the way through those chords when they apply as well. Okay, and so you can see that there's a little bit of difference in those. But this mixolydian scale, the 7th chord, the dominant 7th chord, is the chord that we're going to be using primarily in this app. Now we get onto voice leading grids. Voice leading is how one chord leads into the next, how one note leads into the next note, either of the same chord or the next note of a different chord. So here we're just using one chord, and you can see that I've got a C7 chord, C, E, G, and B flat, moving vertically. Okay, so you can think of each of these pillars, if you will, as one bar of music. So if we start on the root, if we start on the C, obviously because it's the same chord, that C, I could use that C over all 4 bars. But I want to either move up or down to the next closest note. So my 2 choices there are either to move down to the B flat or to move up to the E. I chose to move up to the E, just randomly. From that E, I have one of 2 choices. I could either go down to the C or up to the G. I moved up to the G. From the G, I have one of 2 choices. Again, not having a common tone, either up to the B flat or down to the E. I chose to move down to the E. And you can see in the blue, if I had made an alternate choice of going down from the C, that's my alternate choice. And I can either go up or down from there. So I show you how to do that over the root, then starting on the 3rd of the chord, starting on the 5th of the chord, and then, as you guessed it, starting on the flat 7th of the chord. So that's just one chord. But what if we have 2 chords? Like a C7 for 1 bar, F7 for 1 bar, C7 for 1 bar, F7 for 1 bar. We're alternating, okay? So again, I've written that out vertically here. And you can see that the C7 goes up, F7 goes up, C7, then F7. So again, I'm starting on the root, and that C works all the way through again. That's called a common tone, as we said. And so I have one of 2 choices. I can either go up or I can go down. And so in the red, you can see where I chose to go down. In the blue is my alternate. I could have chosen that as well. So from the C, I went down to the A. I could have gone to the E flat. So I went down to the A. From the A, I could have either gone down to the G or up to the B flat. I went to the B flat. From the B flat, I could have either gone back down to the A or up to the C. I went up to the C. So this is just showing you that you have choices. And when you start to make those choices, you get to choose on what you like best. So I did the same thing starting on the 3rd of the chord. Did the same thing starting on the 5th of the chord. And the same thing starting on the flat 7th of the chord. So you can start to see an architecture of sound. And then I did the same thing with the blues, starting on the root 3rd, 5th, and 7th. So from that C, I could either go up or down. I don't want a common tone. So I could either go down to the A, or I could have gone up to the E flat. I chose to go to the E flat. From the E flat, I could have gone down to the C again, or up to the E. I chose to go to the E. So you can see, as I'm going through here, the notes that are circled in red, those are my choices that I made. And so starting on the root, then I went to the 3rd and did the same thing. And again, look at the architecture that's going on here. It's almost like kind of looking at a mountain range. So then I go to the 5th, starting on the G. And then I did it starting on the flat 7th, the B flat. And you can do this in any key. I'm just showing it to you in the key of C, because that's kind of the simplest one to look at the beginning. So next we'll start to look at things a little differently. We'll have some different exercises. We'll get into 1 chord and 2 chord structures, and then eventually the blues, using different rhythmic devices, a call and response. So check out the next video. It'll be dealing with 1 chord, 2 chords after that, and then the blues after that. I'll see you soon. Thanks for checking it out. Peace.